I dated a psychologist once, and man, you couldn't get away with shit. She was super analytical and feminine. What are some feminine qualities? Now, you have both in you guys. Feminine is once you understand what feminine is, you realize you have both. Women tend to identify, not always, but most of the time, identify more with the feminine. Men tend to identify more with the masculine. Think about it. In a primitive time, in a tribe, what is a feminine's job? They would be able to tell the difference in the subtlest cry of their baby, and that would tell them a lot about, is that baby healthy? Is he scared? Is he just nervous? Is something wrong? If you came home, let's say you were out working the fields or you're out building something, you came home, she could feel the subtlest difference in your tones, in the way you spoke, in the way you're being. If somebody else was in the tribe, the same thing. Why? Because she's constantly adjusting and nurturing emotions, healing our emotional state. You guys ever notice that? And they're constantly challenging our emotional state too and calling us out and waking us up more. That's testing. So that's all part of the feminine. We got anything else? Flow? Yeah, flow. They like I said earlier, that the masculine identifies with watching. The feminine identifies with movement and expression, dance, flow, things like that. It's a more fluid energy. Another one, I want to see if anybody gets it. Intuition, yeah. Feminine has a lot to do with intuition. Why? Because they can see and feel so much subtle stuff. And that's powerful. They can feel all the subtlest emotions. You guys ever notice how the littlest thing, the really feminine woman can pick up on the littlest change in emotion? Like a barometer. Who raise your hand if you've experienced that? And they call you out fast on it, don't they? You know? I dated a psychologist once, and a really feminine psychologist. Man, you couldn't get away with shit. She was super analytical and feminine. And she's like, something's off in your voice today. What is that? What is that? Let's talk about that. And it would drive me nuts because she never stopped. You know, so I'd get a mix of the two. Inspiration. The feminine's really inspiring.
For us.
Yes, for you and for other feminine, for people. The feminine energy in general is an inspiring energy. The more you start to be able to understand the two energies and start to be able to dance in the one that you prefer, the more you'll draw the opposite. There are some guys out there that are more naturally feminine, and they prefer a masculine woman if they like women. Look at Bill and Hillary. Who's more masculine, who's more feminine? Bill and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's really fluid and flowing, and some guys are a mix. Like they call him a dandy. They're very good seducers because they're very masculine, very solid, but then they have these feminine qualities they put on top of it, and it creates this weird dichotomy, and it becomes super attractive.
Prince.
Yeah, Prince is a great example. David Bowie. Yeah, David Bowie would qualify. He mixes the two too, and so it's the expression. So picture these two. It's kind of a beautiful flow. And together they create this nice dichotomy, a river and a riverbank, right? The water's constantly moving and flowing. And you might say that the riverbank guides the water because that's what masculine does, but at the same time, the river over time shapes the riverbank. That's testing, pushing on all the parts that aren't quite working, and reshapes the river over the long term. And together you're a team. Most guys fight that process with women, and that's why they have trouble in relationships. That's why they have trouble long term. You know, they think because they're supposed to be the leader, they're supposed to dominate. And maybe that's fun in the bedroom from time to time, but dominating 24 hours a day is tiring. It's not about dominating, it's about dancing together. It's about flowing together. Well, basically, when you start to embody all this, when you start to drop into it all, you stop needing all the technique because you start to see it all happening in front of you. It's not a concept, it's something you can actually feel. You feel your masculine polarizing the feminine.